Hello, everyone. This is part two with Professor Engelstein and Sabrina Wallace of the Synergy Channel. And she is going to carry on with the medical body area network and other aspects involved in hacking into our bodies and promoting a post-human agenda. Sabrina, take it away.
Well, the Medical Body Area Network was mandated by our Federal Communications Commission way back in 2014. It was introduced to the medical community under the auspices of saving money for patient injury or doctor's mistakes, as well as those electronic health records, of which they are numerous. They also mandated the spectrum allocation to log in directly to the body in the knowing that the metamaterials were going to be available for precision AI healthcare, because the metamaterials were being tested in 2011 for our Federal Communications Commission to say, well, here you go, here's your own spectrum to protect the telemetry in 2014 was not a problem. Additionally, I want to draw folks' attention to the new 6G wireless body area network, and there will be a link to a document here under the video, because this is really where our problems are now. People do not understand the following: brain-computer interface, which is in section 3 of this document. People also do not know much about molecular communication. Now, molecular communication is pretty frightening to most folks because it's molecule to molecule. It is at that scale inside of your body. So only your, for example, your gut-brain axis, which most people know you have a gut microbiome, they are using molecules only inside of your stomach to communicate with other molecules or systems in your body. This is molecular communication. And you will find, or you can read about that in section 4 of this same document that again, it's the 6G W-band, because the metamaterials for the 6th generation wireless are already available in that mesh networking that cybersecurity specialist Rob Braxman spoke of. And they've already been testing that for 5 years with folks who did accept the graphene healthcare. Now they have moved forward and they are using the molecular communication as well as your terahertz communication. Excuse me a moment. That is also in section 4. Terahertz communication is also known as electromagnetic communication. And Professor Engelstein, this is where it comes back to what you refer to as the person's natural BAN or body area network, which I refer to as the human biofield on the National Institute of Health, but people would know it in its layman's term as the aura. And we had back in the 60s the mood rings and temperature fluctuation, but they were doing a lot more with this body part. They had removed Dr. Reif's equipment, his frequency adjustment, and hidden it. Tesla's free energy, hidden. It was all pushed into academia. And then as they continued forward with different types of testing for their electromagnetic communication, which in one of your episodes you mentioned about how the EKG and the EEG, and when they started out truly in healthcare, and they took the MRI, that's EEG, and removed it from the hospital, put it inside of a headset for something called cognitive threat warfare technology in 2012. Now, rather than a headset, here's my glasses, right? Without my glasses, people are going to be laughing in my audience going, they live, kind of, because there's also Diacin, something other people talk about from Vietnam, in which they were injected and then they could see the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, I want to remind everyone in your audience and mine, we as humans in our natural eyeballs only see 0.0035, one more time, 0.0035% of the whole electromagnetic spectrum. That is almost nothing. So for them, They put their goggles on with cognitive threat warfare technology in 2012 with Georgetown University. They can see your biofield and they can see a lot more of anything
Yes.
that they're running in that electromagnetic spectrum. This would, of course, include your wireless waves coming and going. So they would be able to see different components of that system, how it's running, and what they would need to do, for example, with an app on their phone or a different type of device in order to modify those electromagnetic and electrical fields. That is 12, let's see, 12 years ago now, so 2012 to 2024. Additionally, in 2011, with the metamaterials and the biosensors being commercial for 7 years already, brain-computer interface for entertainment becomes a lot more available, and people are using something called synthetic telepathy. That's nothing more than the chip that they either take into their head on purpose because they're testing it, or the headset without taking a chip into the head that they're using to send messages from their brain computer interface to someone else's. Now, how are they sending those messages? The same wireless we use with that IEEE 802 working group.
The document that you're going to provide that discusses the 6G technology, who's the author of that? What organization or people?
Your Future Mobile Communication Forum in 2020.
So it's a forum.
Yes, sir. In preparation for the 6G standard deployments, which the document for that I can include here as well, which is directly from the ITU and the National Science Foundation.
I think what's for me that's confusing is that we have this alphabet soup of agencies that all have their fingerprints on the 6G, but yet everyone can point to the other agency and say, "Oh no, it's their responsibility." You know,
Yes.
this is the famous he did it. Who did it?
Yeah.
That way. You know, so because we have Geneva, Switzerland, United Nations, and they control the International Telecommunications Unit. They're involved with communications and radio frequency. And then we have the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. Guess what? They're involved with hospital telemetry, radio frequency, MRIs, X-ray machines, computerized tomography. So they would be involved with wireless 6G technology at the FDA. Then we have the FCC, Federal Communication Commission, and they supposedly control the airspace where all this telemetry, optogenetics, electric magnetic frequency EMF is happening. So that's under FCC. I got FAA, they control drones and airplanes and jets and helicopters. So they're involved with 6G metamaterials, whether they admit it or not. It's happening in their airspace. And then we have the IEEE of electrical engineers, and they're setting standards for the body area network. And you're telling me we have this thing called the Electric Health Records Act, which appears to be part of our Health Insurance Portability Accountability Act, which is HIPAA. And this is the centralization of all of our personal telemetry health information, centralizing it. But I don't know who they're centralizing it to, because I have so many agencies that have fingerprints on my telemetry. I mean, if you can't, ITU, FDA, FCC, FAA, IEEE, and then I got Health and Human Services, part of HIPAA, that's 6. So then I got CDC, I got, VD, I got all kinds of alphabet soup. So it appears, I think, that all these agencies, if they have the security clearance, can have access to our personal health information.
And the phrase that they use in their documentation, both with DTIC or your DoD or the NATO document that you read from the other day,
Yes.
the phrase is called interoperability.
What does that mean?
they're able to switch by module, like your module of the FAA only handling certain types of routing or database traffic. And they only want to work with this section or these sets of hospitals over here for a temporary time, and then they let go. That's done with modules. And that's your interoperability, because they can change out which module is connecting to this person over here. And the way that they do that, in part to keep it a little more simple, is SOSA and MOSA. We talk about this on the channel, not to overwhelm with acronyms, but your
Well, yeah. So what do
biosensors,
those acronyms stand for?
Sensors Open System Architecture is SOSA and MOSA. Initially, I said it that way because, again, drowning in acronyms, I
Right.
wanted them to stand out. Modular Open System Approach on MOSA, and
Yes.
Sensors Open System Architecture with SOSA, so that you can change the software and the hardware wherever you need to for interoperability and maintain cybersecurity.
Okay, that's lovely. Oh boy. What's the next item on your outline? Do you want to talk about mitigation, or is this a
Well,
hopeless case?
mitigation is clean water. Make sure that if you can use structured water, and I don't give medical advice, so I just ask folks to look up these terms, judge for yourself. Clean water, structured water. Try to get the heavy metals detoxed out of yourself. Try not to ingest anything that is nano, because your body has a hard time with it and cleansing it out of your system. I do not advocate for any terahertz wearables, as in, if you already understand that your phone is bootstrapping and having an intimate relationship you never asked for, your
Right.
Fitbit, your Oura Ring, and all of these other internet.
What about I stopped wearing the heart rate monitor, and I don't carry my cell phone with me. And when I do, I wrap my cell phone in aluminum foil. I crinkle it up and put it in there. I don't know if that does anything or not, but I don't
It
take it with
bends.
me when I'm exercising. I don't want any device near me.
Correct. And that is the internet or industrial internet of medical things. It's a backbone. Okay. It's a backbone for all of those devices to be communicating back and forth for databases with your
All right. So if you wear a heart rate monitor, it's going to be a node on the network.
And it talks to a database that keeps that data and not for you. That data will not be accessible outside of whatever app you're using on your phone. Right. But how are they going to use that data, and who is they and all that? You'll never know. And no one will give you that data, nor will they give you access. Now, this is a good segue to what I'm working on bringing to attention here. And this, I want to give credit, is from one of our folks on the X. Her name is Corinne, and she's been working very hard to try to get people to actually read this document from 2020, because one of the things that people asked right away, how do they get the biosensors in me? Now, there are videos on the YouTube that I recommend. They're 2 minutes. You just type in biosensor, BIOSENSOR, 2-minute videos, and you will see it's an electrical signal. The biosensors that they have at the industrial level are created from your own DNA, analyte, protein, antibody, anything that you've got floating around in your body. They fire an electrical signal and they create the type of sensor they want. So it's really important to understand that the biosensors are just taking that bioelectrical signal, because a biosignal is defined as a biological event, such as a heartbeat and other parts of your vasculature. Okay. Now, with the knowledge that none of us consented and none of us know this is even going on the very first page of our Synergy Tech Metric PDF, we have wireless sensor networks being abused during the COVID because so many companies, healthcare providers, other electronic integrated disease surveillance systems with our CDC and other acronym alphabet we're polling, POLLING, these biosensors looking for COVID during the pandemic, things of that nature. As you can imagine, when you access the bioelectricity of the human body in vivo, in situ, you overheat the tissue around the biosensor temporarily. It's another one of those 5 WBAN protocols, thermal aware, so that we don't overheat the tissue. But when you have that many companies and people hitting buttons, you're going to have trouble. Now, and this is why I really want folks to take a look at this document. And Corinne highlighted this as well, because currently the physicians that are out there as the main placeholders for speaking about any of this, they will not admit to the wireless body area network. They do not admit to the medical body area network, and they definitely will not admit to biosensors. And there are multiple kinds. Why is this a problem? Well, if we're overheating the tissue already, and we already know that that was a problem, we're working on it, right? Now we're going to add nodes to the body. That would be your biosensors. And here's what it says in the same document in section 2. And I don't typically read like this, but I wanted to make sure I highlighted for where people can find it. In section 2.2.2, Professor Engelstein, there's that number.
That sounds Masonic.
That 802.15.6 is your wireless body area network. And it says, the latest standard IEEE 802.15.6 provides a low power, short distance wireless communication. And then it goes on to specify the main technical standards include number 1. Again, section 2.2.2. Number 1, each WBAN must be able to support 256 nodes. Now, to just really quick before,
But that's a minimum. Is that a minimum?
That is a minimum
standard?
Yes, that's what they're saying is a minimum. And what I'm trying to point out is that back in 2005 and even in between, we were not running that many nodes all this time. But with the metamaterials, they want precision. That's more nodes, overheating and decreasing heat inside of you for your insurance company, for who knows who. If they buy access to the black box access to the WBAN, they get access.
How do they get those nodes into our body? Can you say they can create them electronically?
They are naturally happening inside the body due to the nanotechnology that we are breathing, drinking, other bodies we interface with, and as you mentioned, walking on the grass. Yeah, they have them in the soil. They have them everywhere.
Right.
And they
our farms, our farmland, our rice.
Absolutely. Fields, and they attenuate at the industrial level inside the wireless body area network, inside your home. That's what the smart meter was always for. Were those mesh networks that are air molecules to help adjust your bioelectricity. So again, section 2.2.2, number 1, each WBAN must be able to support 256 nodes, which should be deleted or added to the network in a short time. Again, this is the part that's important. Less than 3 seconds. These physicians, these people, goes to your question of, well, how do they get a biosensor in us? They add it to you or take it away. And the problem that I have with this system right here, I want access to my own body. No, you may not this entire time and going forward. The answer is no. Now, the people that, because they go on to talk about transmission and details that just won't translate well verbally in the style of our interview here. And feel free, folks, to read that. But the bottom line for me is that if you're going to be adding and deleting electrical signals that are fixed in my body, that is something that I, as the patient, should have control over. And my goodness, I should at least know it's going on. And their answer is no. No, you may not have access to the nodes. You may not have access to the 802.15.4. No, that's only for the physicians and the black box industry,
Right.
which is your biomedical IEEE engineers. They're called healthineers. They have access to all of that. Now, I challenge any of you out there, go try to talk to your doctor or a police officer about a biosensor.
Right.
You become what they call a targeted individual
Right.
and mocked incessantly, if not punished very severely. That has been the experience of mine for 30 years, and it's still going. The ODNI announced on ABC News in 2024 in March, just like they did in March 2023, there is no Havana syndrome. There's no electronic weaponry. We do not have electronic warfare out of their mouth. There's nothing to be worried about. Well, of course not. It's precision AI healthcare with your new 6G W-band metamaterials, with 256 nodes filling up your body with biological signal transduction out of your body to somewhere else. And
Right. Well,
nobody
see,
even knows.
they've weaponized our entire society from the inside out and from the outside in. They did both. So your doctor is part of a Gestapo secret police. He's reimbursed and paid, and the hospital is reimbursed and paid by a system that's going this direction toward post-humanism with the 6G and the biosensors. And there's no way for your doctor to collect any money by going any other direction than that direction. That's the only direction that he can take you. And then when he has a patient who's disagreeable or resisting and going and following the advice of the doctor, who is totally compromised, if he goes against it, he will lose his license and he will be deplatformed and lose his income. If he goes forward and he has a patient who is, as the lawyers say, a difficult client, then he has to rat you out. He has to report. I'm sure he has a reimbursement code for reporting a person who refuses to get a COVID vaccine, refuses to follow the protocols that the doctor gave, and storms out of the office and says, "Oh, I'll go see a natural healer. I will see a holistic healer. I don't like this traditional medicine, Medicare reimbursed medicine, generally acceptable medicine." Then he's got to report you in the database. And then if you went to the sheriff and you pointed out the chemtrail attacks over your head, like I have, they give you the look like, maybe I should take you in for question, right? Take me in.
Correct.
I'm the one who's reporting a crime, but it's a crime of maritime law. And I had a sheriff's deputy tell me, I'm not in charge of the sky. I'm not in charge of the air. Well, obviously, I can
Right.
see that. But you do have a Beretta 9mm semi-automatic pistol, which you probably should give me, because one of us has a senile dementia problem. But I'm not in a cult. If you're in a cult, you've got to follow the cult obedience rituals, right? So
Mhm.
you have this situation where do you turn in our society? And our channels are shadow banned, because you notice that Dr. Victor Hansen isn't talking about this. Robert Malone is not speaking about this. Alex Jones and Joe Rogan are not covering this topic in a comprehensive manner like your channel does. And so it turns out the entire society has been weaponized. And it's just this little tiny smidgen where we're still at this time allowed to post videos like this that people can turn and have to do their own research. You can't do everything for them. People have to make their own independent decisions of how important their personal life and families are. It's a personal choice.
Well, it is your personal choice, and continuing the mitigation, there are absolutely haptic gear, Faraday cages for your phone, and things of that nature. But we're dealing with a situation, respectfully, sir, that I think is different, even though they're completely entwined with the geoengineering. And that is that,
Yes.
like you mentioned, it's a very bad situation to be
Right.
backed into the corner as the physician or the patient,
Right.
but to only have the option, we're about to have a flyby,
Yeah.
of
I've had a couple since we've been recording.
um, the only option is your wireless healthcare with these systems that if you already have like an autoimmune disorder, or if you're trying to heal from a surgery or whatever it might be, you're going to be pulling that electricity is going to take its toll. And there's my continued issue with the mitigation discussion. If you don't admit the biomedical telemetry and its drain on the bioelectricity of the body, which they do not, nobody will
Yeah,
talk
most
about.
doctors are,
No,
their
they
eyes
will
are going
not.
to glaze over. They don't
Glaze
want to,
over.
they're
Yeah.
going to say,
And
anyway,
then
this is what we need to do. This is what we need to do.
it's
They're going
this.
to dismiss it.
Yeah, and then they do this all over. And the problem for years,
Right.
is right here, which means that if I love my loved one, if I love myself, I need
Right.
to know about this biomedical telemetry and then recognize very clearly they're not deviating from this system.
No,
I think that's the
no.
hardest part for people. They really
Right.
trusted and believed this was for their good. They know
Right.
that there's something
It was
wrong.
wheeled out as a Trojan horse, that this
Correct.
is a gift to humanity, when it's a bomb. It's exploding. It's destroying your village. It's destroying your fortress. It's destroying your home. Comes into your home and then blows everything up in your home.
And the metamaterials resurface the cellular structure of your internal cells. That is a problem. To not tell people about molecular communication, just to recap, and the terahertz radiation that they're using with these same systems, given that some people did take their graphene healthcare, and then continuing to frighten people. The same folks that we have out there talking will scream bioweapon, patent, quantum dot, and they'll say all these other things. And yet that leaves a person with no idea that it's their body, their own bioelectricity that's involved with that biomedical telemetry. And that's where our channel has been trying to bring attention so that people can assess their situational awareness and whatever mitigation you can practice. And that includes, of course, growing your own food where you can, and making sure that with a clean, structured water, any haptic or EMF gear that you can get a hold of. But you also, and this is the hard part, the body is where the problem is. So if you are around people that are fully 3 or 4 boosters and everything else and lots of medications, there's a palpable difference in their vibration. People used to say, "Ooh, I get bad vibes," or "Ooh, I get good vibes." Well, it's a lot more electrical now because of this electromagnetic transduction that's going on with the communication, the metamaterials in the air, etc. So if you're going to go out and spend a couple hours around another person, this is not transfection. The bodies, natural human bodies, when they get around one another, they vibe. It's called biofield concurrence. You know, you are exchanging ions and different particulate with that person as you communicate naturally. So while that is happening, your body area network, your biofield, is load balancing, meaning exchanging data with that other body area network. It works no different than the same way it always did with good vibes and bad vibes, except it's not a vaccine if it requires graphene. So now, while you're standing next to that person, their body area network with bioinformatics is updating yours. Now, let's say that you did not take 3 boosters and whatever else.
Right.
Now, those little metamaterials are inside of you too. Now, you may not have different components inside of you due to not having extra boosters or whatever that they can connect to, but it's still like going out there and taking your own graphene healthcare, which a lot of people feel very strongly that they don't want that. Well, then you need to admit this, because the signal isn't coming off that 5G tower. It's coming from across the living room.
Right. Wow. We do have a senile dementia epidemic going on. One of my clients, for example, did get the jab and a booster. And then 2 weeks ago, called me from the hospital where he was admitted, and they told him he had COVID. And I said, well, that's impossible because you've been vaxxed and boosted against COVID. Well, they tell me that. And I'm assuming the hospital and doctors are getting paid for treating a COVID patient with a lung symptoms of like pneumonia. I said, well, it couldn't have been breathing all those polluted air that you go out and exercise in regularly, which he does relentlessly. And but you can't have a conversation with him because he believes that the vaccine is safe and effective, despite the fact that he's just been told that it doesn't work. I mean, because he's being treated for COVID. And if the vaccine were safe and effective, you wouldn't be treated for COVID. So how can it be? See, this is the problem is you have this person who is a graduate from an elite university, and you can't believe in those two things simultaneously. It is a juxtaposition, but it's an absurd juxtaposition. It's where I believe in the vaccine and I believe my doctor tells me I have COVID. Therefore, the vaccine, I should get another booster because I know it doesn't work. So I need more. It's the wrong conclusions, the
Cognitive
inescapable
dissonance.
circular loop of absurdity, insanity. And this is a person at a high-tech company that you'd recognize who is in a senior engineering position. And I would think they're mentally retarded. They're a senile, dementia disabled. I mean, I don't know how they can do their job. I mean, they can't even think about themselves. They're following this cult ritual. Like every one of these people,
There you go.
when they lose their critical thinking and they have cognitive dissonance, which is what I call senile dementia, cognitive dissonance, they are awaiting the command. They need to have someone give them a command to tell them what to do. And the doctors say, get another booster and your pneumonia, will give you corticosteroids and hopefully, your pneumonia will go away. Which your body will naturally try to heal itself already. But by taking the graphene, which by the way is a radio frequency transponding material like semiconductor silicon chips are radio frequency also, but they're bigger. And graphene is nano. It's like 1/1000th, like a little lattice. It's the same, but it's different. But they will pick up radio frequency, especially when you add aluminum, titanium, lithium, strontium, arsenic. Arsenic poison is a enhancer also.
The graphene nanosensors also harness the power of your natural electrolytes, your blood flow, the viscosity and velocity of your blood flow, and they scoot along your veins and arteries with the help of your own heartbeat. These things are very biomimetic.
Well, these are putting loads on your immune system so that normally, like if you got a cold, you'd recover, in 2 days or 3 days. And I'm just thinking, no matter what you get, if it's a natural flu bug or something, it is going to take longer for your body to heal itself when your body is competing with hacking of its energy through biosensors that are put in involuntarily into our body through our breathable air as a nasal aerosol, like a nasal aerosol, or just getting on your skin or your eyeball. And that if you keep putting these loads into your body, then whatever your potential was as a human being is going to be degraded. It's going to be degraded. Your immune system will be retarded to some extent because its energy is being hacked and sucked.
And redirected.
Yeah.
Yes, that is the goal. In our next meeting, Professor Engelstein, I wanted to mention that this is a bio-cyber interface. This sign is very busy, but I explain it in pieces. This bio-cyber interface would be a great search term for folks.
Okay.
And that is a big chunk of what you just mentioned. Your immune system is so weighed down trying to differentiate what particle is that, what is it doing? The nano actually has its own self-replication and Lego bio bricks in which it connects different parts of itself and builds a system inside the body. This is what the molecular communication runs on. It's what the terahertz radiation is additionally for. Now, I know that that's frightening, but we're all adults here. So I strongly suggest that people keep moving towards their own mitigation. And in lieu of that, bio-cyber interface. National Institute of Science and Technology.
Well, I want to inject this one thing. It just will corroborate what you've told us that can put this into the harsh reality is that on a completely different subject, I ended up in the same place. I was doing some research in a different topical area than the bio digital convergence, right? I was pursuing this aluminum smart dust that's metamaterials being dumped on me because I've had 51,000 attacks in the last 17 months, right? 100 attacks a day, every day. So I was trying to like figure out where do they get this aluminum? Because I got a message from one of my subscribers that said he had a student in his class do a soil sample, and it turned out that aluminum was the dominant material. Lithium was the second highest particulate. Then they found titanium, and they found strontium and barium, and those don't belong in the soil. And none of these things at the levels that we're talking about belong in our soil. So I said, well, someone must be getting paid to make this stuff, right? Aluminum mostly comes from China or Australia, and you can buy it either as chalk powder or you can buy it in the solid form. Aluminum has to go through a process to become an aluminum piece of metal. But the point is, you can buy it in any form you want. And so it turns out locally in my district here, where I live in Hunger Game District number 12, the closest place I found was Dust Networks Incorporated. It's headed up by Joy Weiss, who's the CEO. She went to MIT. She has at least a master's degree from MIT, kind of like Sam Bankman-Fried does, French fried. And her chief technology officer is Christopher Pister. He has a PhD from UC Berkeley, and he wrote the proposal to DARPA and the Department of Defense to research smart dust back in 2017. Christopher Pister was working at Cal Berkeley on smart dust. Now he's the chief technology officer at Dust Networks, located in Hayward, which is across the Dumbarton Bridge from Stanford University, and it's south of UC Berkeley. So it's actually the same distance from Berkeley as it is from Stanford. And Dust Networks is in the smart dust technology business. They are one parking lot away from Coast Aluminum, who deals in selling aluminum particulates. And I guess you could just tell them what size particulates and they'll grind it up however you need it. Coast Aluminum on the same block. And nestled between Coast Aluminum and Dust Networks is Dynavax Technology Incorporated. Their headquarters is in Emeryville, where the PCR test came from. Chiron and Cetus and Bayer and Novartis. That's where Novartis has office, is where Dynavax has, but they have a field office right next to Dust Networks. And I find it more than a coincidence that a COVID-19 vaccine maker is less than 100 feet away from Dust Networks. And on the same block, we have TPS Aviation Inc. TPS Aviation is a broker dealer for military aircraft, helicopters, drones, great KC-130s, KC-135s, KC-10 extenders. So we have a company that deals in aerosol delivery, is on the same block as Dust Networks, Dynavax vaccines, Coast Aluminum Powder. Across the street and a half a block up, we have American Polyfoam, and it's next door to Plasticon Industries, which makes nanoplastics, block away from Dust Networks. So I'm assuming that somebody at Coast Aluminum might be friendly with the people across the street at Plasticon Industry Inc., which is a block away from Chalk Technology Incorporated, which is a Chinese communist company in the medical telemetry business. And they cleverly called their company Seahawk. Seahawk. But if you just put the C and the H together, it's chalk, spelled CHAWK. And it's next door to Dust Networks Incorporated. And then I have a logistics company that will track your shipments of your aluminum called Cuny and Nagel. Then I got basic disposal medical glove, and I got foam distributor ink, and I got Stericycle. I got two medical waste disposals company across the street from a biological weapons facility. Anyway, this is all within 3 city blocks of each other, walking distance. You could park your car in one parking lot, walk to all 11 companies. And do I think they're all in cahoots? Yeah, I do. I think they're all in cahoots. If not 11, 9 out of 11 are, okay? Because they all eat at the same deli sandwich place. They all must know each other. They're in one city block off of Industrial Parkway in Hayward, California. They are very close to UC Berkeley. They are very close to Stanford University. They are very close to Travis NATO base. And they could make deliveries every 10 minutes, 24/7. Anyway, does that mean, I mean, someone's got to be making the metamaterials that are being dumped from the jets that I see and hear above my head.
Which
And
is very closely orchestrated with
right,
unique types of radar.
yes,
And we will end with this one. Human activity recognition radar would require a very specific mixture of metamaterials. Yes, sir.
okay, well, anyway, yeah, there's people that are doing this to us, and I want people to know places they could do field trips to go see if they have horns, devil horns, or if they're satanic or what it is that they do, or go to the sandwich places and see what they eat. And we end
Professor,
on a high note, Sabrina,
yes,
with
I
the,
wanted to show the
but
mitigation sign that I made for people to be able to search for different things to
oh
help their
yes,
situation. It is right here.
sleeping pods.
Yeah, there's several different things here that people can take a look at. They're all written out. I don't want to say anything because I want folks to take a look at things and see for
All right.
themselves. Amen.
Do you want to provide a link or not? Link or no link?
The links are on the sign,
Okay.
and because there's a few, but the
Yeah.
sleep pods are definitely my favorite. That's the Fix the World Morocco project. Definitely want to take a look.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So on that note, we want to end on a positive, vibe. To use your phrase, remember the Beach Boys did that song "Good Vibrations," right? So I want to
Yeah.
recite the lyrics with you every other stanchion. Let's take turns on Huey Lewis and the News. In 1985, they came out with this little ditty called "The Power of Love," which is the inverse of the people who are promoting this transhuman agenda. They don't know anything about the power of love. They don't know anything about it, but we do on the Synergy channel and the Juxtaposition channels. So I'm going to start out and then you chime in when it's your turn. The power of love is a curious thing. Makes one man weep, makes another man sing. Changes a hawk into a little white dove. More than a feeling, that's the power of love.
Tougher than diamonds, rich like cream, stronger and harder than a bad girl's dream. Make a bad one good, make a wrong one right. Power of love that keeps you home at night.
You don't need money. You don't need fame. You don't need no credit card to ride this train. It's strong and it's sudden and it's cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life. That's the power of love.
Power of love.
That's the power of love.
First time you feel it, it might make you sad. Next time you feel it, it might make you mad. But you'll be glad, baby, when you found that's the power of love. Makes the world go round.
And it don't take money. It don't take fame. Don't need no credit card to ride on this train. It's strong and it's sudden and it can be cruel sometimes, but it might just save your life.
They say that all in love is fair. Yeah, but you don't care. But you know what to do when it gets hold of you. And with a little help from above,
You feel the power of love. You feel the power of love. Can you feel it? Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It don't take money. It don't take fame. You don't need no credit card to ride on this train. Tougher than diamonds and stronger than steel. You won't feel nothing till you feel together now. You feel the power, just the power of
Power
love.
of love.
That's the
That's the
power.
power.
That's the
That's the
power
power of
of
love.
love. You feel the power of love. You feel the power of love.
Power of love.
Final. Feel the
For the
power.
power of love.
All right. On that happy note, we conclude today's podcast. Thank you, Sabrina Wallace, and we'll post the links below. Have a great
Thank
day. Bye bye.